Boom, shaka, laka, boom. You tuned in to the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I am, of course, Clay Edwards. I'm live here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios out here on the compound of WYAB in the lovely Flora, Mississippi. Got a big show today. Got 3 full hours of me on the radio this morning on the RADIO. Coming up in hour 3, it's a heavy hitters episode today. The Outlaw Entrepreneur Show. Really, really excited to have Miss Lee Bailey with Salad Days. We're going to talk about lettuce. And that may not sound that interesting on the surface, but they have a salad farm or a lettuce farm out here in Flora, Mississippi. It's all indoors, and they provide high-end, very good lettuce to different restaurants and grocery stores, and it is a built-from-scratch business that's grown and about to triple in size as they build a new facility right out here in Flora. It is extremely interesting how they do all of it. So when I took my tour, and Miss Lee does such a great job of explaining everything and explaining their story, that I thought it would be something that the listeners would appreciate. And we will have her on from 9 to 10 this morning. Really excited about that. I got the pleasure of getting a lead of butter lettuce from them Friday. I took it home and I actually ate it yesterday. I split it with someone, and they agreed that it may very well have been the best lettuce that we've ever had. And I know that is you're kind of caught up in the moment or whatever. Recency bias, I believe is what it's called. But it is phenomenal. And all my restaurant owners out there that are listening to this morning, talk to Cisco, talk to your supplier, or reach out to Salad Days and give them a try. Get a sample. I think you'll be shocked at how good. One of the things that, and we'll talk about this more, but I do want to mention this. You know, you buy those bags of pre-made mixed lettuce at the grocery store, and they may last 2-3 days at the most in your fridge, whether you open it or not, but especially if you open it. This Salad Days stuff, and it's all grown indoors, no pesticides, any of that stuff on it. It's not organic because they don't use manure to make it, but it's what I would vision organic being as far as pesticide-free and all of that stuff, which, you know, that's all really important to people like me. Can't stand any of that stuff on my food or whatever. But it'll last it'll stay for up to 3 weeks in your fridge without going bad. That is insane to me. 3 weeks a head of lettuce can last. And they have different kinds of lettuce and stuff. But anyway, we'll talk more about that. People tuning in this morning wonder what the hell Clay's talking about. Well, that's probably any given morning, right? But Lee Bailey with Salad Days Lettuce Farm will be on the show from 9 to 10 for the Outlaw Entrepreneur Heavy Hitters Show. I think you guys are going to be really, really entertained. And maybe entertained is not the word I'm shooting for. Educated. I think you're going to get an education and just how similar growing lettuce indoors is to growing medical cannabis. Pretty interesting, because I've had the pleasure of going on several medical marijuana facility tours since I've been doing this. Most recently, Southern Sky Brands. And those are great guys over there, too, by the way. They got Ric Flair. Woo! Coming to town this week for some meet and greets. You know, go check them out on Facebook and see how, when, and where. Southern Sky Wellness on Facebook. I think Rick will be at their facility in Pearl, right there next to the C Spire location, right across from the movie theater. Woo! Ric Flair. I think it's Wednesday the 6th. He'll be there. And I'll get to meet him Thursday. I'm really excited. Really excited about getting to meet Ric Flair, especially in the wake of Hulk Hogan passing. These childhood icons of mine, being a Gen Xer, so getting a chance to meet Rick is really, really special to me. The first time I watched professional wrestling, one of my earliest memories, we'll say anyway. I can't confirm if it was the first time or not, but I was with my grandfather. We called him Big Daddy, and out in Florence there, and we're watching old NWA, and he hated Ric Flair. My grandfather died. I'm pretty sure still thinking wrestling was real. It's real. It's still real to me, damn it. And it was Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes, the Four Horsemen. I remember they had attacked Dusty Rhodes at a gas station and broke his leg. Oh, my grandfather. I didn't remember him cussing a lot, but he cussed a lot. He's that dirty MFer, Ric Flair. So I hope I get to tell Ric Flair that story about my grandfather in the early 80s, thinking it was that the work was a shoot. So really excited about that. But check out Southern Sky Wellness on Facebook for all the details on how to meet Ric Flair there in Pearl this Wednesday, the 6th. Yeah, Wednesday is the 6th, because I'm meeting him on the 7th. That's Thursday. So Ric Flair going to be in town Wednesday night, ladies. You want to ride Space Mountain? He might be out and about somewhere. Cadillac riding, wheeling, dealing, kiss stealing. Watch your grandmas. Watch your grandmas. Hell, watch y'all. I know y'all. Y'all like them older men. It's all right. It's Ric Flair. The Ric Flair. The nature boy. All right, man. So I'm letting a few people kind of get on in here, get in the stream. We're streaming live at SaveJXN on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble. We're going to talk about, and this news broke kind of late yesterday. I got a tip from somebody, and then no sooner than I got the tip, WLBT, otherwise known as a local news outlet, pushed a story through their notifications about a incident that happened after a car wreck that was in the aftermath of a drag racing down in Copiah County. Let me layer this with a big allegedly, just to protect myself, because unfortunately until the Sheriff's Department down there releases something more official, we will have to say allegedly. But what appears to have happened is, so I started getting some tips that 4 firemen got jumped on the side of the road while they were working the scene of this accident and assaulted to the point of having to go to the hospital. And I didn't ask all the questions, but I am curious how one guy whooped 4. Were the guys just in shock, or they're all in their uniform? I guess you could be all in your fire gear, and makes it really hard to fight back. Did he assault with bats? I'm not sure. I would like to know the details of how one guy was able to do that kind of damage that ends with 4 firemen in the hospital. And I'm not saying that to sound disrespectful towards the firemen either. Please don't take it that way. I'm just curious what the logistics of that were. It had to be because you're maybe in their big fire suits or something, maybe. Why would they have that on the side of the road if the car wasn't on fire? I don't know. Maybe the car was on fire. I don't know. But I'm pulling the article up here, and the firemen are upset. The firemen are upset. They do not feel like they were protected by the sheriff. They feel like the sheriff is protecting the perp that did it. They're not releasing the perp's name. I don't have the perp's name, but I'm going to tell you who it allegedly is. And you can kind of figure out his name if that's important to you. But what we're going to do first, we're going to play the story from over at WLBT. Let me get it queued up here. Y'all bear with the brother 1 second, because I think it's important to get all the context. Context matters. I'm going to do a show one day. I'm just going to change the name of the show one day to Context Matters, because I believe context always matters. And that's going to be the theme of the show today. A lot of people upset with me for some things that I said at the Rankin County Republican Breakfast. A lot of people upset with me posting a picture with Sheriff Byron Swilley. So we're going to talk about that this morning for sure. Talk about the fallout from that. And again, context matters. But we're going to start here. This is WLBT reporting on the firefighters who were assaulted after responding to a fatal 3-car crash in Copiah County, which, according to my sources, was a drag race. They were drag racing. And unfortunately, a young man lost his life.
collision in Copiah County, and several firefighters were assaulted while trying to help the victims. Sheriff Byron Swilley says the accident happened on Lily Road outside Hazelhurst around 12:40 Sunday morning. 18-year-old Kensavion Brown was killed when his Ford Mustang collided with an Infiniti SUV. The driver of the SUV was airlifted to Jackson, but there's no word on that person's condition. Another SUV was also involved in the crash. Sheriff Swilley says several of the responding firefighters were assaulted and 3 had to go to a hospital as well. For now, no charges have been filed.
So that's where the deputies are upset. Not the deputies, I'm sorry. That's where firefighters are upset. Is no charges have been filed. The sheriff know who did it. And I'm just going to tell you, the claims are allegedly that it was Kensavion Brown's father. And I want to have some sympathy and empathy for the man. You know, his son dies in a horrific crash there, out drag racing. And I'm not one of these people who, we're not doing FOFOs or anything like that on this. A young man lost his life drag racing. I drag raced plenty of times, reckless driving when I was younger. You know, so many of us have. I'm not going to sit here and you know not to do it. I don't have to. He paid the ultimate price for doing it. We don't have to do FOFO or anything like that about it. I'm not that damn disrespectful. But your son dying doing something he shouldn't have been doing, and you attacking the people trying to administer aid. I don't think that you being caught up in the moment clears you of criminal wrongdoing. It's not like you walked in and caught somebody sexually assaulting a family member, a child, your wife, or anything like that, and you took vigilante justice out on somebody. These people are trying to save people's lives, and you attacked them to the point that 3 had to go to the hospital. You know, again, I mean, is this guy some kind of 4th degree ninja? I'm trying to figure out, you know, how he pulled that off. But that aside, the sheriff doesn't need to protect this man or his identity. They need to make an arrest and go on about it and show that nobody's above the law. That's my opinion on the thing. And that's really all I got on it. Is we need to pressure the sheriff down there in Copiah County. Got his name here. Bear with the brother 1 second. Let's see here. I'm going through my notes here real quick. Byron Swilley. Byron Swilley is the sheriff down there in Copiah. And let's see here. It says, sheriff knows who did it and was not protecting the first responders, including ASAP crews on scene, one of the buddy system. So if I'm reading my information right here, the father of Kensavion Brown, maybe buddies with the sheriff or something. Again, I have sympathy for the man losing his son. That's tragic. But as the sheriff, you can't allow your first responders to be assaulted. And I know sometimes it can be a gray area on what's assault. You know, shoving each other ain't assault. You know, high emotions and situations like that, that's not assault. That's high emotions. I get it. But assaulting the fireman trying to help administer aid is inexcusable. And look, I prayed about talking about this morning because I get it's a touchy subject and people are going to say, Clay, you don't know what it's like. He just lost his son. You don't know what's going through his mind. Well, a lot of people lose their children and don't assault the people trying to administer aid to them. Now, if you wanted to go over there and assault the other people he was drag racing with, allegedly. I might give you a pass on that. But, I mean, and that's just, that's a stretch at best. Because, sadly, I mean, someone's drag racing. And that's why you don't drag race on the street. And I've lost other friends throughout the years doing very similar activities. It sucks. I hate it for the guy. I truly do. And my prayers go out to him and his family. Truly, truly do. But we support first responders, law enforcement, and fire and paramedics on this show loudly and proudly. And when they get assaulted doing their damn job, trying to save your son's life, trying to save the other victims' lives, that's unacceptable. Unacceptable. And shame on the sheriff for the firefighters feeling unprotected, and second to this guy. So what are your thoughts on that? Give me a call. The Mazda Jackson phone line, 601-879-0002. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. Fair or foul? Should the sheriff release the name of the man who assaulted the firefighters? I mean, I feel like it's a simple, hell yeah, move on to the next one. Frankly, I'm surprised we're even having to have this conversation this morning. But we got a lot more. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Y'all don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on 103.9 FM, WYAB, Jackson, Mississippi. To the Clay Edwards Show, here live on WYAB, streaming worldwide at WYAB.com, as well as the TuneIn app and Alexa. Just search WYAB. As well as we are streaming in stunning HD. Sorry, I was reading a text there. Streaming in stunning HD at Save JXN on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble. This segment brought to you by our friends over at Tri-County Tree Service. Guys, if you have any trees that need cut down, give Tri-County Tree Service a call today. If you have any trees that have already fallen down, man, we have gotten a lot of rain. That ground has got to be wet. I know it is around my crib. You know, water, my yard holds water really bad. Makes my grass look great. I've got the best looking grass on my little cul-de-sac there out in Brandon. I mean, it is green. There ain't a patch of dead grass anywhere on my property. But man, does it stay wet. And I just say all that to say, them trees, the roots stay wet. Nice and soft. It makes it easy for the trees to fall. Roots and all, just trunk and all. Anyhow, prevent a tree from falling on your cars, your property, your house. Lord forbid. Give Tri-County Tree Service a call today. Let them come out, get it taken care of for you. Their phone number is, let me pull it back up on my screen here, 601-940-5499. 601-940-5499. Locally owned, locally operated. Good folks over there, man. Good folks. And we're live in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi Studios. And I just want to button up, one more thing, or just want to clarify. There's a part of me that feels really bad having to talk about this man that lost his child. I get it. So people have sent me some videos he's made since then and stuff. And look, he's welcome to come on the show and discuss the aftermath of that if he wants to. But you can't assault first responders. You let this slide, then what? What's next? It's a slippery slope. The next guy that gets into a situation where somebody tragically dies on the side of the road, and is it okay for them to attack first responders? We've just gotten way out of hand with a particular community thinking it's okay to attack first responders, police, whomever. Like the rules just don't apply. The rules have to apply. That's how we have a civilized society, is the rules have to apply evenly across the board. Because when people start thinking they can get away with stuff, they get away with stuff. It's just common sense. You gotta enforce the laws. You can't let people run around here attacking firefighters, paramedics. I mean, I've heard nightmare stories from my paramedic friends. They ride on ambulances and anywhere, but especially in places like Jackson. It's a nightmare, man. They shouldn't have to put up with that crap. They're out here trying to save people's lives. Literally. And that's what people are so mad at me for talking about the things I talked about out there in Rankin County. So I'm reading some text here about this topic kind of as I go here. Yeah, so my understanding is the emotions where the paramedics weren't letting him see his son on the scene who had already passed. But, man, that's unfortunate. It truly is, but you still can't assault firefighters or cops or paramedics. You can't. Can't do it. There will be a time and a place where you can see your child. I don't know. It's a tough situation, man. It's easy for me to sit here and say all this up here in my perch, but I'm gonna side with the first responders. It just is what it is. Again, if you want to be emotional and throw a fit and even some pushing and shoving, I think most people can live with that. But when you physically assault people to the point that 3 of the 4 have to go to the hospital, that's a problem. And we can't I'm going to give you a free pass on that. Not on this show. We need to take another break real quick. I ran over in that segment. I hate to do it to y'all, but I got to stay on schedule. When we come back, I spoke at the Rankin County Republican Breakfast. And my, oh my, the claws are out. People are really upset with some things I said, and they're upset with me posting a picture of me and Brian Bailey holding one of my FAFO shirts. I had no doubt that the picture would get the reaction that it's gotten. It's just who it offended is a little more surprising to me than some of the others. We're going to talk about that and more. Lots of FAFO going on in Jackson over the weekend. I mean, if this stuff happened anywhere else, it would be headline news. It happens so often in Jackson that my videos barely get any views anymore talking about it. Also, I had a video go viral over the weekend of a guy that has stopped his car, got out in the middle of Hugh Ward Boulevard to film a TikTok dance as one of my buddies, a former Jacksonian, happened to be passing by, pulled up, and I poked his head out the window, filmed him, and gave him a little message. It's sitting at over 250,000 views on Instagram alone this morning. We're going to talk about that, tell you the story in case you missed it, and more. This is the Clay Edwards Show. Don't go anywhere. We got an action-packed 2 hours here on WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, here live on WYAB, streaming worldwide in stunning HD at Save JXN on Facebook, X, and YouTube, and it's at Clay Edwards Show on Rumble. Let me clear that up there. All right, got you back on the screen there. Got me back on the screen there. This segment brought to you by our good friends. You just heard it, man. You just heard the commercial. McBee's. McBee's is now a partner here on the Clay Edwards Show. And today's lunch special, it's a good one. It's one of my favorites. It's chicken spaghetti. And you've heard me talk about the chicken spaghetti. Not only do they have the chicken shredded and cooked inside the chicken spaghetti, they also put a chicken breast or some amount, I think 6 or 8 ounces. I forget the exact amount. Maybe it's 4, whatever. But they put grilled chicken on top of every order, the same amount. So everybody at minimum gets the same amount of chicken plus whatever is inside the chicken spaghetti. Because, sometimes, it can be casserole. The meat may be, one plate may have half full of meat and the other may not have any meat. It may just be cheese and noodles, sauce and noodles, whatever. You don't have that problem over at McBee's. They guarantee, at minimum, it's going to have whatever the chicken is on top, which I love that, by the way. Need to try their fried okra also, if you get over there. Love the fried okra, available with the blue plates. And hey, maybe chicken spaghetti is not your thing. They got a full menu available. They also have several other blue plates available every day. Country fried steak, grilled chicken, or fried chicken, I think. And let's see. We're going to make this short and sweet. I keep a McBee's menu handy here. Yeah, the everyday meats are hamburger steak, chicken breast, or country fried steak. And do not sleep on the red beans and rice or the club sandwich. You've heard me talk about the club sandwich and the red beans and rice before. I probably eat those two things more than I eat the actual blue plates when I go. So go see my friend Michael Wimberly and his team there at McBee's today, buzzing the res since 1982. It's patio weather. They got the big covered patio out back. If you haven't been to McBee's in a while, they have one of the biggest patios of any bar or restaurant in the area. Covered. A lot of big fans out there. Got a big stage for live entertainment. You got an event you need to throw somewhere, consider throwing it at McBee's out there on the patio. They can handle all of the live entertainment, the space, the food, the drinks. I've thrown a concert there. It was awesome. Awesome. Swing by. Check them out today. McBee's Bar and Grill. Lake Harbor Drive, Ridgeland, Mississippi. All right, so let's run it back, shall we? The Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. The Mazda of Jackson phone line is 601-879-0002. I want to read some of the comments here on the live chat about the incident there in Copiah County. Let's start with the Guns and Gear text line. And, they're closed on Mondays, but get out there and see those guys during the week, Tuesday through Saturday at Guns and Gear. Tell them I said, hey. Let's see here. Unknown texter makes a great point. I wasn't even going to read some of these texts. I was going to jump straight into my Rankin County Republican Breakfast fallout, but we got 3 hours this morning, another hour and a half of this show. Unknown texter says, what you tolerate, but it was this text that motivated me to read some text. So what you tolerate, you must endure. Jackson chipped away at law enforcement. Now they must endure. Man, I don't know if I could have said it any better myself. What you tolerate is what you must endure. And this is going to offend some people the analogy I'm going to make here, but hey, it's what I do around here. It's like domestic violence and being in a relationship with somebody who physically abuses you. And hey, women, don't think it's just y'all that get abused. I have been in a relationship with somebody who was very physically abusive. She went to jail twice. And they always take the guy to jail. She went to jail twice, not me. So I've been on the other side of this physically abusive nonsense. And the more you let somebody get away with, the more they think they can get away with. So what you put up with is what you're telling people you will endure. Because see, now everybody down in Copiah County thinks, oh, I can just steal on them firefighters. They ain't nothing. Oh, if he can whoop the firefighters, why can't I get away with whooping the police? Sheriff, you let him whoop them firefighters. Why can't I slap the taste out one of your deputies' mouths? Fair is fair. Fair is fair. See, you set a bad example. You set a bad tone. It's bad leadership is what it is. I can almost, circling back a little bit, I support law enforcement to a fault. Obviously, based on the reaction from this weekend. But I can sit here and say, you let a guy get away with physically assaulting 4 firefighters, 3 to the point he had to go to the hospital, and nothing being done about it. That's piss poor leadership, is what that is. Sometimes you got to make tough decisions. And no decision is not a tough decision. I mean, just come out and say, man, look, we've just decided that it was an emotional moment. And we're just not going to do anything. And y'all can deal with it. Okay, cool. At least you made a decision, albeit the wrong one, but you made one. And people, I think, will not be forgiving. But okay, well, we'll remember that on Election Day. But you made a decision. Now let's read some of the live chat here on the live stream. Got a big audience in here this morning. Let's see. Memory says, came in late. Why? What did you do to the firefighters? Memory, you had to go back and listen to the podcast. I can't continuously reset. I'm sorry. Andy says, that crap won't go in Madison County on Randy Tucker's watch. No, it won't. Susan says, I'm going to try to put y'all's chats up on the screen here. Susan Womack on Facebook says, I'm from Copiah County, and this is surprising to me. The sheriff has been forthcoming in other news. He holds a chat with sheriff periodically. The last one he held July 31st at the Joe Johnson Safe Room in Gallman. We want answers. Yeah. I'm going to tell you what, the firemen want answers. Their families want answers. Too. Their families want answers. Everinium saying assault. Did I spell assault wrong? Did I put a typo somewhere? Is that why you're spelling assault wrong there, Everinium? Gilbert Glenn on YouTube. Good morning, sir. Gilbert Glenn Jr. from Knoxville, Tennessee, USA. Thank you, Gilbert. Good morning all the way up there in Knoxville. God's country up there, son. Lisa on Facebook says, those scenes are emotional. People don't understand why we are providing care after we've pronounced someone. Lisa, obviously a first responder. They're a paramedic of sorts. Lisa, thank you for the work you do. Yeah, I just don't think that paramedics get the flowers that they deserve. I truly don't. I think just period across the board, we don't. I'm going to push my goon squad, my sheriff talk, all that. I'm going to push that to the top of hour 2 because I don't want to be running up against these breaks. So second hour we'll start off with the Rankin County Republican Breakfast fallout. This is too heavy of a topic just to skip over on, and you guys got too many good comments here. So we're gonna stay on topic for the rest of this hour. Let's see here. Bourbon Diplomacy on X. I love that name. Ain't no problem too big that it can't be worked out with a little bit of bourbon at a bar somewhere. Bourbon Diplomacy. That is just a great, that should be a book. It probably is. I don't read enough. Bourbon Diplomacy says, you may know this, but assault on a first responder while performing his duty is a felony. I had forgotten that, but I just assumed that assaulting a first responder under any circumstances was a felony. Speaking of stuff kind of to this, today is the 4-year anniversary, no, 3-year anniversary, 22 to 20, 3-year anniversary of Anthony Fox being wrongly convicted of manslaughter. JPD Top Cop. I've done a million shows about it. Anthony's been on the show. Y'all can go back and Google it if none of that's familiar with you. But today is the 3-year anniversary of Jackson and Hinds County corruption at its finest. What they did to Anthony Fox will go down as one of the most corrupt things that happened in the history of the city and on Chokwe Antar Lumumba's watch. And I hope, if nothing else, comes from all of the evidence that they've got in this corruption case with the bribery case. I hope some text, some phone calls, something comes out proving that Jody Owens and Chokwe, what's the word I'm looking for? Conspired to wrongfully convict Anthony Fox. And I hope that it drags that wench, that skank judge up in it. Skank. I have no problem calling these people what they are. Her name is eluding me right now off the top of my head, or I would say it. Black lady. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but either way. Yeah, I mean, look, man. Charge this guy with a felony and let it work it with what 4 felonies. 4 felonies. Charge him. Let it work its way through the legal system. If the voters, the jury pool down there in Copiah County wants to find him innocent and they want to have compassion, let the community decide. It's the police's responsibility to decide if it's a crime and arrest them. It's the DA's responsibility down there to pursue once the evidence is presented by law enforcement. That's the way it works everywhere. Law enforcement decides to make an arrest. They have to provide X amount of evidence to the DA. The DA decides to go to trial. They take it to a grand jury. Grand jury decides. You know? I think that you assault first responders, you have to set a precedence. Go back to that first text I read. What you put up with is what you have to endure. Just kind of reading through some of your text here. People are telling the man to call in and tell them the deal. The deal doesn't matter when you assault 4 firefighters. And I really want to be respectful to the man. Like, 2 things can be right at the same time. I can have all the sympathy in the world and empathy for this man losing a child. And by all accounts, a good kid. The drag race and stuff, that doesn't make you a bad kid. Poor decision maker, but not a bad kid. So I want to make sure that we're being real clear here, because I want to be sensitive to that. But I can also sit here and say that you have to face the consequences of assaulting first responders. This ain't rocket science. This is just real life. You don't have freedom from consequences. None of us do. I deal with my own every day. Every time I get on here and cut on this mic and speak my mind, I have to deal with the fallout from it. We'll be right back. One last short segment, and then we got our top of the hour news, and we will, at 8:07, discuss the Rankin County Republican Breakfast fallout. Everybody wants to know, well, Clay, what did you say? What did you say at the breakfast? It wasn't recorded. I'm going to tell you what I said. And if you support school choice, you probably ain't going to like it. We'll be right back. Breaking rules when necessary. I almost missed my break there, sending Anthony Fox a text of a video I pulled up. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We got about 40 seconds left here before our top of the hour break. I'm going to stay with our online audience and read some comments and chats with you guys watching, so don't go anywhere there. If you are in your car, rip the knob off. One of my buddies sent me a picture the other day. Every preset in his car is on 103.9 FM. You got to love it. He's like, I don't listen to any other station. Why would I? When we come back, what I said at the Rankin County Republican Breakfast that has all the school choice people irate at me. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, let's see here. We back. I'm going to hang out with you guys for a minute before I get set up for hour 2. Don't forget, it's a 3-hour extravaganza today. Hour 3 is the return. It seems that we seem to be doing the heavy hitter show about every other week as people's schedules permit. And frankly, I just don't want to talk to everybody. But there's some people that I find really interesting. Some businesses I wouldn't think would be interesting that ended up being really interesting. Like, if I just told you we were going to talk to the lady that owned a salad farm, that probably wouldn't be too interesting to you just on the surface. But after I went and took a tour and met this lady and hear her tell the story of their business, I was like, this is really, really interesting. And I think that my audience will learn a whole lot about this today and really make you think about the head of lettuce you pick up at the grocery store. And I really want it to be Salad Days. So we got Lee Bailey, owner of Salad Days Lettuce Farm, coming into the studio here from 9 to 10 this morning. So stay tuned for that. All right. I just texted Anthony Fox. It was Judge Wooten, by the way, was the judge that screwed Fox. So I thank you all for texting in. I couldn't remember her name. I try to keep the negative out of my brain. I try not to talk about and let people live rent free in my brain. So I forget their names because I refuse to let ignorant people live rent free. So I just texted Anthony, just let him know we was thinking about him today. But God works. Never underestimate God working. Now, Anthony had to sit in jail for 2 years for a crime he did not commit while it worked its way through the crooked-ass legal system here in Mississippi, criminal justice system. But in the long run, the system worked. But, man, it shouldn't work so slow. That man lost 2 years of his life, 2 years away from his family. 2 years he had to sit in a jail. You know, for all this yakety-yak, blackety-black talk around here, and how the white man has locked too many black men up for crimes they didn't commit, it was black men and women wrongfully, willfully, knowingly locking up an innocent man in Anthony Fox, a black man, a father that's present in his kids' lives. A father, a brother. His brother's a firefighter in Jackson, by the way. His family, one of the best families I've had the pleasure of getting to know over the years, the Fox family. You know, for all the idiots, assholes, criminals you could be locking up, you want to take one of the best human beings in Hinds County, frankly, in the state of Mississippi, off the streets and put them in a jail cell but when we were doing it, we went out to the frontage roads or we went out to Atkins and Beasley, kind of out in the middle of nowhere and did it. They are straight up doing it in the middle of a major street, a thoroughfare, however you say it, in Jackson, right on Bailey Avenue, which turns into 49. You know, Joe Biden and them came in and laid all that new concrete. All right, I got to be quiet. The intro's playing. About to be coming back from the break. Boom goes the dynamite. It's hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the RADIO. Radio was his name. Oh, this is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards. Guys, y'all swing by my website, buyfafo.com, buyfafo.com. And pick up a hat if you're watching on the live stream. The hat I'm wearing is my personal favorite of the bunch. It's black on the front, white mesh on the back with the white FAFO stacked logo stitched on the side of the front there. My personal favorite. We got a bunch of different designs, though. If you've ordered something, if you ordered one of the shirts I didn't have in stock, one of the hats I didn't have in stock, they should be in here in the next couple of days. So just be patient with us as we are learning through this new process and of offering a bunch of new and different styles and designs. It's been a little clunkier than I was hoping it would be to kind of get it rolling. But that's what happens when you offer a lot of variety. You're going to have hiccups here and there. What's the old saying? Excuse us while we grow. Growing pains. So I appreciate everybody. I sent a lady a free shirt the other day for a mix-up. So I try to do right on my end when we make mistakes, and I will continue to do that. So just swing by the website, buyfafo.com. Real quick, we're in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios. We had a record amount of testosterone screenings and signups in July. So I want to give everybody a round of applause that took advantage of the free testosterone screenings at Men's Health of Mississippi, and also men and women that took advantage of semaglutide. compounded semaglutide. That's like generic Ozempic. They're at the Women's Wellness and the New Care facility that are attached to Men's Health of Mississippi. Great stuff there. I took my shot this morning, both of them, as a matter of fact, my testosterone and my semaglutide shots as I was walking out of the house this morning, literally syringes hanging out of me. I'm joking, but I do give myself my own shots. It's just that dang simple that if I can do it, you can definitely do it too. Text my name, Clay. That's all you got to do. Text Clay to 601-800-5031. 601-800-5031. If you're watching on the live stream, the little scroll down there at the bottom of the screen's got the phone number on it, and it is ready to go. Hey, also, a big announcement from over the weekend real quick here before we get rolling. I want to make sure I'm very delicate the way I say this, because this isn't a picking sides thing. I'm not saying anything negative about anybody. I'm just speaking from, I'm excited to have him back on my show. I hate how it happened. I don't wish ill will or ill feelings on anybody. I went through a really bad breakup last year, and if it wasn't for Sean and Lindsay helping me with my show and coming in here and co-hosting with me, I don't know that I would have been able to do those shows. It was very emotional time for me, and I wear my emotions on my sleeves and stuff. And if it wasn't for them two coming in and helping me, I don't know that I'd have got through that without having to miss some work and stuff. But so they came in here and co-hosted with me and whatnot, helped me do some show prep and all of those the first week or so when I was kind of dealing with and all that stuff. So I want to be very careful about the way I say this, but Sean is coming back to the show here in the next couple of weeks. Well, probably next week, maybe the week after that. He's very busy now with the law, with the criminal justice stuff, with being a lawyer and all that. So I can't sit here and guarantee it'll be 2 days a week every week. We'll see how it all works out. But Sean will be coming back to the show. We're super excited to have him. Lindsay will be carrying on with the noon show, the Crossing the Aisle, without Sean. So we wish Lindsay all the best. We're still partners here at WYAB. We're still co-workers here at WYAB. As the world turns, or as the radio station turns, so to say, well, it happens when you're adults, and things happen. We'll just say that. And I wish them both nothing but the best. But I saw somebody comment a second ago. They were looking forward to seeing Sean back on the show. So I thought we would announce that. Sean announced it on his social media this weekend, if you didn't see it. So I hate that for them. I do. I thought they had really good chemistry. The show was good, and their personal life and whatnot. But, hey, that's life. It happens sometimes when you least expect it. But we are excited to have Sean coming back on the Clay Edwards Show. I think that we were very good for each other. I thought we had very good chemistry, and he made me be a deep thinker about topics and really test my convictions on some things. When you have somebody here questioning you, it makes you think about it just a little bit more. Are you sure you feel that way? Let me tell you this side of it. And that's why conversation is so important. It truly is. That's why conversation and talking to people that don't always automatically agree with you are so important. And that's why having friends that don't live in the same echo chamber as you is so important. Because what's the worst that can happen? You change your mind about something, or you become more convicted about what you believe. Like it's one of two things that are going to happen. I think some people have some beliefs that they may know aren't right. And they're scared of having a conversation with somebody who has different beliefs, because they're scared they may change their mind, because their entire existence is based on believing this thing, whatever it is. Some people, it can be the abortion, pro-life or pro-choice. Some people, it can be religion. Some people, it can be school choice. And if you don't talk to people on the other side, you may always just believe one thing. And maybe talking to those people makes you believe more deeply about it. And that's fine too. Like I said, the worst that can happen when you have somebody on is you either change your mind or you become more convicted in your belief. There's things I have changed my mind on. I won't discuss them here. And there's things that I have become more deeply convicted about. And one of the things I've become more deeply convicted about is how against school choice I am and the potential fallout and ramifications that school choice could have on our suburban school districts. When you allow a cancer, a cultural cancer, into the schools. And make no mistake, that's exactly what you're inviting in when you let students transfer from JPS to Rankin or Madison or Pearl or wherever else around here. Am I saying that every kid is a cancer? No, I am not. I am saying that some are. And the weak argument that people make in defense of it is Clay. And we've had this conversation so much, but this ties into the Rankin County Republican Breakfast stuff. So it's like, Clay, you don't think every kid deserves a good education? Yeah, I do. You're telling me that you don't think JPS offers good education? You tell me that, and they always try to tie it back into race, right? Because you can't say the quiet part out loud. That's what they like to say. Oh, it's the conservative versus conservative here. Because Democrats are against school choice. It's actually the one thing I agree with Democrats on. But I think we disagree with it for different reasons. I just don't like the public school to public school aspect of it. I have no problem with the charter schools. I have no problem with you taking with the money following the kid. Just not to another public school. Communities are built on the thought of being like-minded individuals. You want to live around like-minded individuals. That's why elections are had. Because the majority elects somebody that they believe is like-minded. You move into a neighborhood with people you hope are like-minded. This ain't a black or white thing or Mexican thing. That's what it gets turned into all the time, but that's not it. It's conservative, it's liberal, it's Christian, it's atheism. It's not black or white. I, Clay Edwards, would not want my child, if I worked my butt off to get out of Jackson, to get into Rankin County or Madison County or wherever else, if I worked my butt off to accomplish that, so my kid can have a better education, why should you get to skip all of those steps along the way and say, yeah, I'm going to live in Jackson because I kind of like the urbanness. I kind of like the lawlessness. I kind of like that, I can kind of get away with what I want here. And unless I'm robbing, stealing, or killing, I'm probably all right. But, I do want to send my kid to a good school, though. I want to vote for this trash, but I want to send my kid to a good school. I don't want to have to deal with the consequences. It always goes back to having to deal with the consequences, doesn't it? I don't want to have to deal with the consequences of all the other bad decisions I've made in my life. But my kid deserves a good education. No, what your kid deserves is a parent who can do what it takes and makes the sacrifices to send them to a good school without us having to change the laws to make it happen. That's how life has worked forever. And Republicans love to get up there and say, it's about choice. It's about parental choice. Clay, Democrats like to force people to do things. Republicans are about choice. Because I keep trying to figure out what is this conservative push on school choice? Why is this a conservative thing? And I don't care if Donald Trump supports this. Further proof that I'm not part of some cult like people like to say. I don't agree with everything Trump does. Maybe school choice works in other places. Maybe it'll work in other spots in Mississippi. Not going to work in central Mississippi because of Jackson. The suburbs around here pretty much exist because people didn't want to be affiliated with Jackson. They didn't want to be affiliated with JPS. They moved because they did not want their kids learning around a bunch of kids whose parents don't care. JPS at one point had 1% PTA participation. 1%. Y'all can sugarcoat this all you want. You can say whatever you want. You can call me all the racisms in the book you want to. But when you start allowing these kids from some of these homes in Jackson to willy-nilly transfer and bring that culture with them into these other schools, it's going to be a problem. I mean, I can think of three situations right off the top of my head. When these weren't obviously school choice, but these were kids who had just moved from Jackson into Rankin. And now all three of those kids are dead because they couldn't leave the Jackson in Jackson. And they were all three going to Rankin County schools. I think, I could be wrong, I think all three were Northwest Rankin. Two of them were brothers. Couldn't leave the Jackson in Jackson. People say, well, Clay, these parents are going to have skin in the game. They're going to be able to, and I know if you listen to the show, you've heard me make this argument. Well, it ain't changed. But they're fixing to ramp up this school choice stuff. It's Jason White, our Speaker of the House. He says it's his number one item on the agenda coming up in this next session is to get school choice passed. The number one thing on his agenda. Well, then guess what? It's now the number one thing on my agenda to rail against. And if, you know, you want school choice so bad, bring back the ballot initiative and put it on the ballot. You want school choice that bad, bring back the ballot initiative and put it on the ballot. 3 incidents in the last year and a half or so. 2 brothers got killed about a month or so apart over there in the Flowood area in the 047. They couldn't leave their Jackson in Jackson. The mom moves out of Jackson, brings her kids with her. And they're like, to me, like, this is the mom y'all keep trying to paint as saying got skin in the game. She's doing her part. But they couldn't leave that culture in Jackson. Both of her kids got killed, or 2 of her kids got killed, being involved in some trash they shouldn't have been involved in because they couldn't leave the Jackson in Jackson. Another one, 18 years old, going to Northwest Rankin. Never got brought up where he went to school, by the way, is the one who got himself killed by the police right there in front of Applebee's on Lakeland when he shot a cop. Had just moved out to Rankin from Jackson this year, or this school year, however you want to say it. Couldn't leave the Jackson in Jackson. Now see, those are the things I'm looking at when I'm thinking about this school choice stuff. Is that what you want transferring over to go to school with your kids? That influence? Because make no mistake, here's the quiet part out loud thing that they don't like you bringing up. That matters. Kids today are all, and look, kids have always been like this. I was a highly influential kid. Make sure I'm saying that right. I'm saying what I did was influenced others. I was easily influenced, is what I'm trying to say. We got to take a break. We're going to pick up right there when we come back. I see the comments just blowing up over here. I'm sure a lot of you disagree with me. But we're going to talk about who the school choice people are and why I find it sus and why I question their motives. And it's always got to do with the almighty dollar. We'll be right back on The Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to The Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by our friend right downstairs here, Jamie Creel, Shelter Insurance Agent Extraordinaire. But, man, he's more than just an agent. He's a friend. He's a guy you can call when you need just about anything. He knows a guy. He's the guy that knows a guy and girl Need a car? Let him point you in the right direction. Need a rental car after an accident? Let him point you in the right direction. As a matter of fact, he ain't got to point you much further than his parking lot out here. He keeps a couple of rental cars available for his folks that have ended up in situations that involve them being down a vehicle. Reach out to Jamie. Let him shop your rates for you. Has it been a while since you've shopped your rates? He does it for his clients. But if you got insurance with somebody else, especially when these big companies, these online companies, they have no interest in shopping your rates and making sure you're getting the best rate. Look, I've been bringing this up because it's important. Heck, if you got Credit Karma on your phone, it tells you at least once a week you could be saving money on insurance because your credit's gotten better. That's real. Your insurance, for better or worse, is based on your credit as much as it is your driving record, I believe. So if your credit has gotten better over the last few months, year, 6 months, whatever, shop your rates. You could be paying more for absolutely no reason. Reach out to my boy Jamie Creel, Shelter Insurance. He saved one friend of mine $700 a month. He's probably tired of me telling everybody that because I've set the bar so high. I mean, Johnny had a bunch of stuff, but still, a lot of y'all got a bunch of stuff. A house, a couple kids with cars. You and your wife have a car, got a boat, got an RV, a four-wheeler. I mean, it don't take much to accumulate a bunch of stuff you got insurance on. And he was paying $700 a month more, and he's got better insurance now because of Jamie Creel. Better and paying less. Shut up and take my money. Google it if you can't remember it. Jamie Creel, Shelter Insurance Agent, with an office here in Flora and in Ridgeland. Good folks, man. I mean, he's my personal insurance agent. You know, and he was before he was a sponsor on this show, he was my insurance agent. A lot of these people I do business with that are sponsors on this show now, I was doing business with them before they started sponsoring this show. So I'm not just trying to sell y'all something. I'm trying to tell you through personal experience that these are the real deal. These things are the real deal. Men's Health in Mississippi, the real deal. I was doing business with them for a full year before they were on here. Core Therapy, was doing business with them for 2 months before they were on here. I can just go on and on and on down the list. Lakeland Glass and Tint, been doing business with them for a decade. Ellis Autoplex, worked for them. And I know if I start naming people, I'm going to forget somebody. I could go on and on. Everybody, all of them. Before I leave one off trying to name everybody. Anyway, check them out. Jamie Creel, Shelter Insurance Agent. So I was talking about the school choice. There's somewhere in particular I was going to pick up. I got to reading y'all's text and forgot. But point being, you don't want to let the cancers in. And it is what it is, man. This is the way we've been doing things our entire lives. Oh, yeah. Conservatives continue to say, Clay, it's about choice, parental rights, parents' choice. Every kid deserves a good education. All that can be true. You don't have to live where you live. You can move. There's your choice. It's that simple. It's that simple. If you want your kid to go to school in Pearl, move to Pearl. If you want your kid to go to school in Brandon, move to Brandon. Now, do I believe that there should be some exemptions, for say, special needs? You could sell me on that. Yeah, you could sell me on that. But I believe that a lot of these districts are going to not have as much sympathy about it as I do, because they only have so much room in these classes. They're going to still sit there and say, well, we have to pay for this. But, you could sell me on the special needs. If one district has a much better disability class, whatever you want to call it, teachers that focus on a certain disability, whether it's autism or whatever, you could sell me on that. APAC, you could sell me on that. But just general, I want my kid to go to Brandon or Pearl. But, sometimes you got to just rule with rule with an iron fist on. It's like, this is just one size. Sometimes you got to be one size fits all. Sometimes you just have to do that, because if you start trying to surgically make a exception for everything, that's all you're going to spend your time doing is making exceptions. Sometimes you just got to make the rule. All these, but that's what they keep trying to do. They keep trying to push us through, and anybody that's against it, oh, well, you must be a racist if you're against it. No. I'm a realist. I know that for a generation, people have had to move out of Jackson if they wanted better education, or they had to send their kids to private school if they wanted a better education for their kids, or they didn't want their kids to go to school with a bunch of kids who are coming from homes of parents who aren't involved. Man, I talk to JPS teachers all the time. This ain't a knock at JPS teachers. This ain't necessarily a knock at a lot of the administrators, which I think a lot of them are terrible. I'll be the first to tell you. I won't pretend. I won't sit here and play nice just for the sake of it. I think there are a lot of bad teachers at JPS. I think there are a lot of bad administrators at JPS, but obviously, like anywhere, there's some good ones also. And man, they'll tell you about the nightmare of teaching some of these kids from these single mother households, some of these crazy moms. You can't discipline their kids. You can't do any of this stuff. Their kids just try taking their kids' phones. Moms come up there and assault the teachers. And they'll try to tell you, oh, those aren't the kids that are going to come. Those parents don't care. They're not involved. Clay, they're not going to want to have skin in the game. They're not going to want to go 30 minutes each way to drop their kids off at school. It's going to be parents who are involved, Clay. They're going to have skin in the game. They're going to be willing to do what it takes to drive their kids back and forth. Well, you know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like, oh, you're talking about somebody without a job that's got time to do that. That's who? That's who's got time to do it? Who's going to have skin in the game? Not the mom that has to work 3 jobs to make ends meet. Not the mom that has to be at work at 7 in the morning and doesn't get off till 5 in the afternoon, can't drop her kids off in time for school. That mom ain't got skin in the game. I think that is a disrespectful and weak argument at best. And at worst, I think it's racist. You want to move. You want your kid to go to school somewhere, move. But most of these people, see, this goes back to money. A lot of these people that are pushing this are going to benefit wildly from the charter schools. Some of them already have charter schools. And they will benefit financially. It'll be a windfall if they can get the government subsidies, if that's whatever you want to call it, the tax money, the money follows the kid argument they like to make. If the money follows the kid, they're going to make a lot of money putting these schools in Jackson or wherever else, especially in Jackson. So, oh, you got a good kid, don't want to be around that? Well, we got a charter school over here that they'll excel in. And I ain't got no problem with that. But coming from people whose kids currently aren't even in public schools for the most part, or people who didn't even go to school, they were homeschooled, telling us how we should deal with our public schools, I got a problem with that. Telling all the rest of us what we should have to tolerate because you stand a chance of making some money. I'm out on that, man. There will be a lot of politicians in the Tri-County area, down there, legislators at that Capitol, who will lose their seats if they vote for school choice. Y'all keep telling us it's a conservative movement. This is conservative legislature, school choice. I don't know a single conservative that's not involved in these right-wing think tanks who's for this. Not in my area. At the end of the day, you got a Jackson problem. The people around here do not want Jackson creeping in to their schools. I've talked to mayors around here. These are some of the most conservative Republican mayors in the country here in the Tri-County area. They ain't for this. I don't know a single average Joe that's for this, that wants this. But Clay, it's the Trump agenda. Are you against the Trump agenda? That's what Douglas Carswell likes to tell everybody. Likes to say, oh, you're against the Trump agenda if you're against school choice. No, I can disagree with one thing and not be against the Trump agenda. I don't have to jump in full force on everything that Trump does. This may work in Arkansas. I know that's what they like to point to. That's their shiny mansion on a hill, school on a hill. Like, this is look, it works in Arkansas, Clay. Of course it'll work here. Does it really work in Arkansas? I mean, really? Does it really work in Arkansas? Again, you want to make your money on these schools, these private schools, these charter schools? Figure that out. The public school to public school aspect of this, people don't want it. I mean, somebody called a friend of mine the other day and said, man, does Clay think that this is a liberal deal? No, I don't. I think it's just bad policy. Republican or Democrat. I mean, again, the Democrats are against this. So, for a whole different set of reasons. They don't want public money going to private schools. So they can keep, teaching their agenda in the public schools and them not have to be accountable. I don't disagree with that part. With what the Republicans say, that it'll drive competition, it'll do this, it'll do that. But why does there have to be a public school to public school aspect on this? People do not want the cultural cancer from cities like Jackson creeping in to the suburban school districts. They just don't. And that is it at the end of the day. And people want to tiptoe around that and not say it. And when you say it, they want to call you a racist and all these things. When that's just not true. It's just obvious what the problem is. And people moved away from that problem. They don't want to welcome that problem in by rolling out the red carpet. This is going to be my hill to die on. I don't want to talk about school choice every day, but I'm just preparing y'all. They're going to try to shove this down your throats, and they're going to try to call you racist and all that stuff if you question this. So get ready for it. But this is terrible policy. And it's apparently Jason White's number one policy moving into the next legislative session. Let's take a break. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. I want to go straight to a phone call on the Mazda Jackson phone line. This lady's in a rush and wanted to get in, so we will move callers to the front of the line. Hey, ma'am, thanks for staying on hold. You're on the air.
Yes. Okay. Hey, listening to you on the way in to work out, and I don't usually state my opinion on the air for anything, but I think that you touched me as being so adamant about the school choice issue. And I just want to bring up one thing. This is my money that's being paid for a public school, whether I go there or not. And that is the point, I think, that you failed to mention. And I disagree with most of the things that you've said about school choice. And I think the money itself is what you're missing, because people who live in poorer areas of the state, and they can't move, like you say, well, you just move. That's not as easy as some people think. The other thing is that they will work a second job to send their kids to private school, but they're still getting taxed for it. So if anybody got a tax credit and they said, okay, you know what, don't take that money out of my taxes, I'll pay for my kids to go to private school, that will be different.
No, I did say that.
And it's never been approached by any government agency that I know. So I think you're leaving out a really, really big chunk of people in Mississippi.
No, I think you missed the whole part of what I said, because I said I don't have a problem with the money following the student, just not public school to public school.
But it doesn't.
I said they can figure that out.
This is. Yeah, but here's the thing. The other thing that really, I have been following this so closely and just hoping that Mississippi would approve school choice. You have to understand that this does work in Arkansas. It's in Tennessee now. It's in Alabama. I teach at a university in Alabama. I know this from the ground up. Alabama fought it with everything they had, and it passed, and it is working well. I think that because of how adamant you are about this, I think that there are things that you are missing about this that I'd like for you to go to, whoever it is. The mayors you say around are not for school choice. That's not true. That's not true. That may be the mayors that you've spoken with. But I see it happening in every state around us.
Name one around here that's for it. Name one around here that's for it.
What?
Name a mayor that's for it. You said it wasn't true. Name a mayor in the Tri-County area where I said that's for it.
Okay, well, I'm not going to get in the weeds with you there because I'm not naming names. But what I'm saying is you are not speaking for the people of Mississippi, and you're extremely adamant about this. So I just want to say the other thing is that these states around us are adopting this for a reason, and it's not because Trump says so. They're doing it because it works. And I think that you are a little bit on the side of let's just keep Mississippi down because that's what a lot of people want to do. They don't want Mississippi to be progressive and meet up with the states around them. You're missing the boat here, and I'm sorry to say that, but I think you've probably done some of your homework. You sound like you do, but you are clearly on the side of not having school choice for the wrong reasons.
No, definitely for the right reasons.
All those things that you mentioned about poor people, or it's going to be the people who don't work, it's going to be taking their children to different schools, that is not what this is about. This is about educating our children so that we can get off the bottom.
Where do you live?
And educating, well, all that doesn't matter.
It does matter. It absolutely matters.
Wow.
It absolutely
matter?
Do you live around Jackson?
I don't have children in the school system. How does that work?
Even better. So do you live around Jackson?
Do
you live around the cultural rot that is Jackson, Mississippi, and you want that creeping into your communities? So a lot of us have spent a lot of time and effort getting away from the cultural rot that is Jackson, and do not want to open up our school districts to anybody that hasn't made the same sacrifices that we have to get away from it. That's what it comes down to. I appreciate your time.
That is extremely racist.
Well, it can be. If you don't like it, it is what it is. It's not racist. I've yet to say black people. I've yet to. But everybody just assumes I'm talking about black people, which makes you the racist. We don't want the cultural rot coming into our communities. It has nothing to do with race. Find me a mayor that's for this. Find me a local mayor that's for it. Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, you're wrong, Clay. There's mayors for it." I've yet to meet a mayor that's for this. I've yet to meet a politician that's for this that doesn't have their kids in private schools. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Land the plane for hours 1 and 2. Land the plane here on the Clay Edwards Show. Coming up in hour 3, or coming up next, is the Heavy Hitters Outlaw Entrepreneur Show. And we got Miss Lee Bailey with Salad Days here in the studio. That's going to be a great show. Looking forward to that. Just kind of ending the topic for today. And we can talk about this tomorrow. We can talk about it the next day. We can talk about this till the cows come home on school choice. My mind is not going to be changed. I am against the school choice, public school to public school part of this. That lady obviously was not listening when I said I had no problems with the money following the child to private schools or to charter schools. She chose not to hear that. She had wax in her ears or whatever. And then she just doesn't like the fact. She's like, no, there's mayors that agree. Find me one. Find me a mayor that's willing to come out from Rankin or Madison County or Hines that wants school choice. Do you think Clinton wants school choice? You think Byron wants school choice? You think Pearl wants school choice? They don't. You think Brandon wants it? They don't. They don't want school choice. Who wants it? It's the rich white elites that have their kids in private schools or stand to make a buttload of money off of charter schools. Those are the ones that want school choice. It is not best for the people. I would love to see what metrics that this is working on. What are they basing this on? Oh, it does work. Well, what works? Well, I told you it works. That's why it works. Like I asked that lady there. I said, okay. She said, no, you're wrong. Mayors do want it. Okay, well, cool. Name me one. I'm not going to name names. Okay. Stand on business or sit your butt down. We'll start back taking calls on this tomorrow on the Mazda Jackson phone line. I appreciate everybody today. I know I said I was going to discuss the backlash of my appearance at Brian Bailey's Rankin County Breakfast. That was pretty much it, is that I railed against school choice, and all the school choicers are mad. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye. Thank you for tuning in. This is Heavy Hitters, the Outlaw Entrepreneur Show with myself, Clay Edwards, for my third hour of radio today, as like every Monday. We got a really cool guest in today. If you're new here, every Monday, 9 to 10, or I try every Monday. Sometimes it's just a third hour of the Clay Edwards Show. But today is the Outlaw Entrepreneur Show, and I'm really, really excited to have a lady that I met Friday. A friend of mine, Chad McMahon, was on the show last Friday, I think, and he left here and he went by this business here locally in Flora, and he called me and said, man, you've got to have this lady on your show. You got to go by there and check this place out. So I did, and that place is Salad Days Produce, and Miss Lee Bailey is the owner, and she was so cool to give me a tour of the facility. And like I was saying on the show earlier, I know if I just told you that we were going to talk about produce and salad for our entrepreneur show, you'd probably look at me like I was crazy. But it's amazing how technical and integral this business is, and how well of a job Miss Lee does of explaining how they do things over there. And frankly, just a cool local Mississippi business that is growing and expanding and doing great things. And those are the kind of people we like talking to here on this show. So with no further ado, you see her on the camera if you're watching online. We have Miss Lee Bailey. Good morning, Lee.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Just got finished with a harvest this morning, so had my hands in some fresh lettuce already.
Well, so you gave me a head of butter lettuce the other day, and I tore about half of it up last night or yesterday afternoon and made me a salad, and I was blown away at how good, just the tasting, the difference of a fresh head of lettuce is versus something bought from the store, generally speaking.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, you wouldn't think lettuce would be that different, but when it doesn't have to come on a truck for 3,000 miles from California, and it's a living head of lettuce that hasn't been sprayed with chemicals, it's radically different.
It is. And, I think ever since COVID, it really woke a lot of Americans up about their health and the things that we were putting in our bodies. And for better, I think that's going to be one of the lasting ramifications of COVID. One of the lasting impacts of COVID is it really woke a lot of Americans up about our health. And I think fresh produce and fresh food and knowing where our food comes from and being healthier and the whole Make America Healthy Again movement with Robert Kennedy and stuff, I think that those are really, really good things that sometimes get lost in the politics of politics, whether you're left or right or whatever. But we all should want to be healthy.
We're all humans that can use food as medicine if you just will. We've gotten accustomed to a lot of processed foods in our diet, and that's the easy, convenient thing that we've all, my generation and those after me have just become used to get the easiest thing. It's, and it tastes good. They pump it up with all kind of things you really don't want in your body. But people, and I think COVID really was kind of a pivotal time for people to kind of drop back and have time to prepare fresh food and search out. I mean, the supply chain obviously was another big thing that during COVID that came under scrutiny. And, when you realize that your lettuce can't get here from California or all of the things that were unavailable, we brought a lot of new customers on board. We had to shift our model from mostly wholesale to distributors and grocery stores and that kind of thing to direct to consumer to be able to move all of our product. And we got to know a lot of people through COVID. We never shut down. We never missed a day of work, and had a lot of people discover us during that time.
It's always a blessing.
It is.
If you allow there to be one.
It's the silver lining of COVID.
it really, I think that's going to be the lasting impact of COVID for people who didn't pass away or whatnot, is that we learned about, I was just thinking the health impact, but the supply chain impact which creates the importance of knowing your produce supplier, knowing your farmer, knowing your meat supplier, all that stuff, your butcher, and everybody's like knowing where your food comes from. It's so important, and being able to reach out and have that personal relationship with people. And I know with what Andy Gibson did, opening up to allow at least our meat farmers, I say meat farmers, I guess that's the best name for it, ranchers, whatever you want to call it.
Beef farmers, or everything, I guess, poultry and pork and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But
allowing, as long as it's produce, as long as it's processed through a USDA facility, that they can sell direct to consumer and kind of cut out the grocery stores and the middleman and all that. I think that's phenomenal. It opened up an entire new industry in this state.
We really love what Andy's his new program of Make Mississippi Healthy Again. It's critical, and Mississippi being one of the worst states for food deserts, obesity. We are in business to prove that Mississippi can feed itself. It's been one of the biggest, ag is the biggest industry in Mississippi. I think it still is. It should be. But most,
it is.
But most of what we grow is you don't eat. It's corn and soybeans and cotton and great products, but they're not mostly edible things. And we have so many resources here in this state. We have land, we have water. We have people that know how to farm, and we've taken it to another level of being able to do it in an indoor type setting where you take out the need to have to spray a lot of chemicals because you've got a roof over your head. So you're walling out the pests, and people don't want to eat those pesticides. They love to know that this is clean, healthy, fresh. How it was grown, where it was grown, and who did it. So,
after walking through your facility the other day, I told you, I said, I'm suddenly craving lettuce. It's like I've never just looked at lettuce and thought, man, I sure want a salad. But after walking through there and seeing the process and seeing how clean it was and how I know I'm using the word organic wrong, but when I think organic, that feels organic to me. And you're like, well, no, it's technically not organic because with organic it has to be grown with manure and some other things.
And
I'm like,
dirt.
Dirt. And but y'all's just pesticide-free and all of that stuff. So I was like, well, that feels more organic to me. But the definition of organic is, dirt and manure and all of that, right?
And to get that certification, it is required to have those things. But we do use organic seed. We only use organic sprays if we, disease fighting and any pest issues we may have. We only use organic approved things for that. So it's as good. We actually say better than organic because it doesn't have the dirt, so it's very clean, and it doesn't have the manure, which can introduce some pathogens. And you eliminate the E. coli and the listeria and the salmonella just by virtue of not using manure.
And here's the thing that I've been telling people about since I got that head of lettuce from you the other day, is it will stay fresh or edible anyway for 3 weeks in my fridge.
It's I've seen it even longer than that, but we're always amazed. I'll find a head in my refrigerator that's gotten pushed to the back, and pull it out and say, I don't know how long this thing's been in here, and it looks just fine. And people ask me, how do you know if your lettuce is still good? And I said, it look at it. It'll tell you. If it's starting to turn brown, pull those leaves off. But probably the middle is still good, and it's alive. So we sell it with a small amount of the root still attached, which allows it to be a living head of lettuce. People tell us all the time that they take that root, put it in some dirt or some water, and it'll grow some leaves back, which is amazing to me because, it has been out of the system for a while by the time they get it. But they tell me that will work. So if you want to regrow your lettuce, you just go right ahead.
All right. And for the benefit of people kind of getting in and out of their cars throughout the morning, tell people real quick, where can they find Salad Days product locally? We
have a long list of retailers, and the easiest thing would be to go to our website, saladdaysproduce.com. There is a store finder on there. You can put your zip code in, and it will tell you the closest locations of retailers. We go all through Hines, Rankin, Madison. There are grocers. There are farm stands. It's available in a lot of different type places. So if you're having trouble finding it, shoot us an email. There's an email contact on our website, and we'll direct you to the closest place for you. It's also beyond the Jackson metro area in other parts of the state. So we are aiming to get even further afield with I guess we're going to talk about that.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about your expansion.
Our expansion that is coming down the pike very soon.
All right, let's do this. Let's take our first break here. We've got Lee Bailey with Salad Days Produce here in the studio with us this morning in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios here on the compound of WYAB, a.k.a. the Cotton Exchange Plaza in Flora, Mississippi. We'll be right back, and we're going to kind of start at the beginning. How did she end up in the salad business? And did she come close to ending up in the medical marijuana business? They're two very, very similar industries, more similar than you may believe. We're going to talk about that and more. This is Heavy Hitters, the Outlaw Entrepreneur Show with Clay Edwards, and my guest today, Miss Lee Bailey with Salad Days. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to Heavy Hitters with Clay Edwards, and my guest today, Miss Lee Bailey with Salad Days Produce. It's actually just Salad Days, but we're saying produce so you guys know what we're talking about here, as if salad doesn't give it away. And their website is saladdaysproduce.com. You can also find them on Facebook at Salad Days Produce. Mm-hmm. And I really, really suggest checking it out. I went by the other day. It was such a cool operation. I had no clue, really. You vision something, and then you get there, and it's not what you vision because it's 10 times bigger, better, sometimes not.
Cleaner.
I think that's the real takeaway for me, was just how sterile the entire environment was, from the first room you walk in where the seating is, I guess, done. Mm-hmm. And then you go into the big facility where everything is. And what I brought up was I've had the honor of touring several of these massive medical cannabis grow facilities here in the Tri-County area. Kelly's Green down in Jackson initially, when Kelly Williams was a partner there, and Chad were partners. And then out here very recently, I got to go to Southern Sky Wellness up there in Canton, there at the Nissan Parkway exit.
It's impressive.
It is massive, like what you think Like, I just think it's an old Southerner, an old, old school pot smoker. I just think room in the back of a house or maybe in a basement with a bunch of black lights and grow lights.
Not what it used to be.
No. And it's like, I think of like a grow room, and they have grow rooms, but these are medical clean, like medical grade facilities. And yours is.
And the product is medical grade. And it's not the back to the 70s and 80s and, the old hippie days of pot smokers. This stuff is precise and targeted to medical conditions and helps a lot of people.
100%. I tell people it's not my thing, but I support it 100% because it does help a lot of people with an array of different issues and
Certainly
stuff.
does.
And like the cannabis oils, I know have helped people who have gut issues and stuff. And there's a gut cancer that you can get not diverticulitis. That's what I have, but there's other gut issue.
Like esophageal something or
And like the only things that can do anything for it are like the THC oils, the cannabis oils. And for Mississippi to finally get that, I knew a girl that was having to take her daughter out to Colorado to get the treatments and stuff because they couldn't get it here. I'm like, come on, guys, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's a plant. It's a nature-made medicine, and it's not for everybody, but it might. Some people that think it's not for them may just not have a condition currently that it will treat. But if you do have one, and it's like you said, a very wide array of things that can be helped, and
that's a great way to put it. When I say it's not my jam, it's not my jam right now because I don't have a condition that I need it to be my jam for. I have said I would gladly switch to THC gummies from Ambien if I get really comfortable about the gun stuff. But until then, I'm not necessarily very comfortable.
When you compare it to opioids as pain relief, I mean, look at what opioids have done.
Destroyed.
It's catastrophic. And
it's the opioid epidemic is why I support Kratom and what the benefits of Kratom. And to see them sit here and try to neuter Kratom in Mississippi, I'm like, it's a plant.
I don't think people really know much about it. I'll have to admit I don't know a lot about Kratom either, but it is a plant,
right.
And it's a naturally occurring thing. So you have to give credence to that. I mean, it's if it's not made in a lab, it's not a chemical synthetic thing, then and all of them won't be for everybody, but it does help people, and so.
Well, just like fresh produce is good for people.
That's right.
And so I go into your facility. And I shout out to Senator Chad McMahon for turning me on to this. And I every now and then, like, man, a blind squirrel really does find a nut. I'm kidding, Chad. I love Chad. So I get over there, and so I come into the clean room, the entry room. Like, what is that room called? Like the seating room?
We call that the head house. It's just the little kind of room that you come through a room that. We don't want a door opening up to the outside directly into the greenhouse because we do have that negative pressure from all the airflow and the fans. So if you were to open a door directly into the greenhouse, it's likely to suck in some bugs or, so we have kind of an anti-room that.
So I'm jumping around a little bit here because I do want to get to the nexus story of this, and we will be running out of time, so we got to jump into it. But I want to say this real quick. When you go in there, there was something I was going to say, and I just had a complete brain fart. Oh, your water bill. Are you okay with talking about that?
Yeah, sure.
So you tell me your water bill for this whole, how many square feet is it?
It's 18,000 square feet of gross space.
18,000 square feet. They obviously use a lot of water to water these plants and do what they do there. And all that is reused, recycled water.
Recirculating, yes.
How much is your water bill a month?
Our water bill runs about $40 a month. And people just get blown away by that. It's because it is recirculating. We mix the fertilizers into the water. It runs through the whole system, feeds the plants, and then it comes back into the main tank. Then we have a computer there that analyzes what has come back from the plants, and it says, oh, we need to add more calcium. We need to, re-up the fertilizers to make it back to its normal formula. And then it goes back out again with its, remixed fertilizer. And so it's very water conservative and very land conservative. 18,000 square feet, we estimate we can grow about 6 acres worth of outdoor produce in that space. So it just concentrates everything, and it just makes sense. It's a very smart way to do it.
I want to get to the expansion, but let's start at the beginning real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, we got 6 minutes before the next break.
Okay.
So how did you get into this? Tell people a little bit about the history of it.
I wish I had a really pat answer for this because this is probably the most asked question we get. My husband Jamie and I married almost 15 years ago. He was born and raised in Columbus, Georgia. And so when we got married, he moved over here, and we were both career real estate brokers. I had been residential and commercial real estate broker here in the Jackson area. He'd been doing that in Georgia all his adult life. And when he moved over here, he said, I just don't know how I'm going to start over in real estate in a new city, a new state where I don't know anybody. It's all about who you know. Real estate's contact sport for sure. And so he said, I'm just going to have to think of something new to do. And So
I tell people that all the time about real estate. Like, man, it is so hard. I've had a couple agents on the show, advertisers and stuff.
It is hard.
I said, man, it is hard. If you're expecting to get a deal off of this in a short time, it may not be the platform for you because everybody knows a real estate agent. Everybody's got one in the family for the most part.
There are a lot of them out there. And every time you do a deal and it closes, you just put yourself out of business again. You got to start all over again.
Yeah.
You're happy to get that commission check, but then if you don't have anything else in the pipeline, then you're in trouble.
You're taking a customer out.
That's right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I had been doing it a long time, and my family I'm third generation real estate background, the H.C. Bailey companies, and worked with my dad for a long time and really loved that and learned a lot from him. But we were ready to just kind of see what new career we might be able to unearth, and we both have plant backgrounds. We both really like horticulture. I've always been a gardener, and I had a plant business when I was in my early 20s. And anyway, we found some articles about hydroponics and started studying. We spent about 2 years teaching ourselves what we thought we needed to know, which turned out to be not enough, really. I mean, we thought we knew enough to start, but I guess, if you knew how much you didn't know, you'd never do anything. It's kind of baptism by fire. And so we took the plunge, built the greenhouse, started Salad Days, almost 12 years ago now.
So I'm always amazed at people who have never been in the restaurant business that open a restaurant. Like, you just
steep learning curve.
Like, you think that it's just building the building and buying all that equipment. You wait to that last week before you open, and you think of all the little things that you didn't know you needed. Tongs, just all the little stuff. It'd be another $100,000 in miscellaneous items that you didn't know existed that you can't run a restaurant without.
That you must have, but if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
So, you learn a lot of hard lessons, and but you remember those, and you don't make the same mistake twice, generally.
We call it stupid tax.
Yeah.
You typically only pay the stupid tax once. If you pay it more than once, you're just...
It's on you. Yeah, you're just stupid. But, it's been a steep learning curve. We've enjoyed it. We've loved every minute. And I guess we are living proof that you can teach old dogs new tricks.
And how long has it been open now?
Almost 12 years.
12 years. And the exciting thing is, and y'all are right here in Flora. What's that, 6th Street?
1st Street.
1st Street, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right here on 1st Street.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, it's not, they're not doing direct-to-consumer anymore?
We are not. Right now, every day of the year, we have 27,000 heads of lettuce in that greenhouse. And so in order to move that much product, we just can't do one by one to the public. We started out that way, doing farmers markets and having a little market up there on the porch on Saturdays. And we loved that because we got to know our customers and we got to build our brand. And that matters. We put in the time to do that in the beginning years. But now to move the product, we really have to use distributors and, get it out to restaurants. And it's a bigger business than just one by one.
Sure. I mean, look, I'm in that phase where I'm kind of in between, still shaking every hand and kissing babies and being like a politician. But as the show grows and the platform grows and the need to make more content to compete grows, it's harder to get out and do the hand-to-hand combat stuff as much as I would like to. I mean, I'll still try to go and set up and say I was at the wildlife extravaganza a couple of weeks ago. I went and set up for 3 days and got to meet a ton of people and selling shirts and hats and all that stuff. But it does get harder to do that as the demand to make more content goes. And for you, the content is more lettuce.
Right.
It's like how is my time best used? And unfortunately, getting to shake every hand and do the one-on-one hand-to-hand combat, as I call it, isn't necessarily a best use of the time.
But you don't want to totally lose sight of that either. There's a fine line there, and I do really appreciate the relationships I've made with customers, and we have created a culture of self-proclaimed lettuce snobs, and we can't thank those people enough. There's a army of people out there that are so committed to eating our product only that they'll go in restaurants and sit down and dress the server down by saying, "What do you mean you don't have salad days lettuce? I'm not going to eat a salad then." And so I'm a lettuce snob. So we actually have people out there doing our work for us, and we're very grateful.
Well, I've been doing your work for you since I left there Friday, and my friends that are sponsors on this platform and own restaurants have been hearing about salad days from me.
Well, thank you.
So, and I don't want to. I'll ask off air and confirm some of the ones that I think are using your product. I don't want to put anybody on the spot on air or feel like I'm calling anybody out. But I know of one that I'm pretty sure. But anyway, like I said, I'm a fan, and I've had a half a salad I shared with somebody yesterday, and it was so good. Like we just both looked at each other. It was like, okay, I can taste the difference. She thought I was just blowing it up just because I'd met you and got this head of lettuce. She's like, Clay, you just blowing it out of proportion. It can't be that good. And I had not tried it yet, but I was just looking at it. It stared at me every time I opened the fridge for 2 days. I was like, man, that looks good. I'm going to make a salad.
It's very appealing.
It does. I mean, it's all fluffy and real and
not dirty and not brown on the edges. And
yeah,
it has a flavor. I mean, we grew up believing that lettuce was just a vessel for dressing and cheese and meat and all the things you put on a salad to cover up the lettuce because it really didn't have any taste. And this really has a taste. It's delicious, and you can get away with a lot less dressing and just a healthier meal. We use it for wraps. We do hamburger salads instead of them on a bun all the time. And
that's a great point. Let's talk about that when we come back. We got Lee Bailey with Salad Days Produce here in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness of Mississippi studios this morning for the Heavy Hitters Outlaw Entrepreneur Show. I'm Clay Edwards, and we'll be right back. We're talking salads and business here this morning. I want to, when we come back, talk a little bit of different things you could do with lettuce, obviously, like make a keto burger and whatnot. But they got a big expansion coming up that I'm excited to let her tell you about, and that's all because of you guys supporting local business. It's awesome. We need more of it. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back in to Heavy Hitters, the Outlaw Entrepreneur Show here live in the Men's Health and Women's Wellness Studios on WYAB, streaming worldwide in stunning HD at SaveJXN on Facebook, X, and YouTube. We're also on Rumble at Clay Edwards Show. We got Miss Lee Bailey here in the studio with me. She's the owner of Salad Days, and we're just sitting there, man, talking about salads and talking about the business of salads. And Lee, let's just go straight to it. I will sit here and jump down rabbit hole after rabbit hole, or salad hole after salad hole, and not get to it to the end of the show. You guys are been blessed, and you're able to do a big expansion now, and you're going from 18,000 square feet to?
The total facility is going to be 65,000 square feet, but of that, about 45,000 is going to be the growing area. So it's just over an acre under roof, and that's about 3 times what we have now, but we expect our production to be about 7 to 8 times.
Because it's going to maximize the space better.
Yes, the efficiency and the use of space and just lots of
new technologies that weren't involved in the first go around.
Yes, we are very excited to step out of our Dodge Dart we've been driving all these years and into this Porsche. That's
so. And you're staying in Flora?
We're staying in Flora. We are just moving about 1.5 miles up north, up 49 into the Flora Industrial Park. So we're right up there next to Entergy's Transmission Center, the old Primo's building. Mm-hmm. So we're just in that area, and it's a beautiful site. It's perfect. It's doesn't have trees that are going to cause shade and things people don't think about that. You can't have any shading on because you want all of that sunlight. But sun is the best thing for plants.
That's the best thing for us too.
It is.
That's why like red light therapy's become so popular nowadays. Is it's just sunlight.
It is
sort of, and it's like such great healing and growing and stuff. We go back to COVID a little bit. With COVID and people trying to tell you to stay indoors. One of the things that some of the pictures that started to surface was the fact that hospitals used to have sun decks they would roll the patients out on and get sunlight.
Get their vitamin D.
Mm-hmm. And it made a big difference, and we got away from that somehow. And if sun is good enough to help grow vegetables and grow life, imagine what it can do for you.
Right, right.
It's just the simple things sometimes we get away from. We've gotten so mass-produced, so spoiled with being indoors and air conditioning and climate control and everything that we've gotten away from, just natural stuff.
Get back to the basics.
Like grounding yourself, touching feet to grass every now and then. People say, oh, you just sound old crazy hippie stuff, but I think it's real.
Well, and think about kids. When I grew up, we were outside all day, barefooted, drinking out of water hoses, and I think our immune systems were stronger just for that. I mean, you're exposed to more, and today people are, indoors a lot more, and kids don't know where their food's coming from. That has always been amazing to me. I've gone and talked to some schools and, Boy Scout troops and things and said, do you know where your lettuce comes from? And they'll say, the grocery store. They don't even know if it's, or they don't know if it's grown on a tree.
Oh, there's some people who think that stuff's grown in the back of the grocery store, and these are adults. They just really don't understand the supply chain.
They've never had to really think about it because it's all laid out right there. And seasonal eating is a thing that we've really lost touch with. And I've seen a push to come back with that. A lot of the great chefs and restaurants are really, they're tuned into seasonal eating. But we've gotten so spoiled by, if this plant doesn't, or this produce doesn't grow at this time of the year, then don't eat it. Don't ship it in from Hawaii because you want a pineapple. Eat the things that are growing this time of year that can be grown close to you as much as you can. I mean, you certainly have a pineapple. I'm not trying to spoil your fun, but it's it's great to eat with the seasons. It's what nature intended.
Well, I mean that, and look at the local honey and stuff of that nature, and why local honey makes such a big difference versus just going to the grocery store and grabbing a thing of honey.
True.
When you're using it for actual healing purposes and
allergies. Wow. I mean, if I don't eat honey, I can tell a difference.
100%. As I've gotten a little older and start looking at more holistic stuff and kind of I want to detach myself as much as possible from just the industrial complex of whatever. Now, we're big on this show, this platform, about industrial complexes, whether it's military, racism, pharmaceutical, whatever. There's all these big industrial complexes that make money off of keeping us arguing with each other or keeping us unhealthy or whatever. And I want to detach myself from all of those things. So you start looking at fresh produce, where you get your meat from, fresh, local honeys, all of these things, more holistic stuff. I'm just short of really diving off into Roman history. As men get older, we either become World War II historians or Roman historians. The fall
or
of the Roman,
bird watchers.
Or bird watchers, yes. And so I'm definitely teetering back and forth between Roman, the fall of the Roman Empire, or World War II historian. But anyway, but also holistic medicines,
Well, food, we always say food is medicine. If you could just let it be. It's people, it's shortcuts. Just take a pill for this, take a pill for that. And a lot of it can be fixed with your diet. It's a great place to start.
Oh, it is. We had a few questions here in the live chat. One of them were, what types of lettuce is it? And I guess I've been thinking about the butter lettuce, but you have different kinds of lettuce. What all do you offer?
The butter lettuce, we call it Bib. On the packaging, you'll see it called Bib, which is and it has that great buttery texture. And then the other one we sell in a retail clamshell type package is a spring mix, and that's going to be a green sweet crisp and a red oak leaf, and those are paired together. So you have the two different colors, two different textures, and it makes a really pretty salad. You may notice a few other varieties if you're eating in a restaurant. We do a food service bulk packed case for the restaurants, and they have a couple of other varieties in there, a green oak leaf and a red sweet crisp. So you get lots of colors and textures going on. But it depends on what you're doing. The spring mix is great for doing a cut up salad. The Bib is a little more versatile. You can cut it up for salad, but you can also use it on a sandwich or a burger, or a wrap. We do, the Asian chicken lettuce wraps all the time, and just try to cut those carbs where we can. I mean, we're not anti-carbs. We love some good sourdough bread and those things, but all in moderation. And if we can eat more lettuce than we do bread, that's good for for everybody.
Absolutely. So you gave me a hit of the bib lettuce, the buttery texture. And we were talking about, you made a comment in the last segment about it not taking as much salad dressing. And that hit with me because I kind of had this epiphany while I was putting my salad dressing on to not put it. I could always add more. You can't take it off. So like, this is a different kind of lettuce. Let me put a little less on here, toss it, and see what happens. And it ended up probably being too much, to be honest. And it was half of what I would have normally put on the same amount of lettuce. But the way it absorbed it, and there was like no dressing in the bottom of the bowl. It was all on the lettuce. And this thing sounds silly to people out there listening, but I think these things matter when you're actually eating. You don't want to drown your lettuce in dressing and stuff, but it's just the way it took. It's like, I feel like I was eating something completely different than what I've been getting at the store. It's like they call that lettuce, but I think it's just, it's barely lettuce because it looks like it. And this stuff is like the real deal. It's like getting fresh meat from somewhere, like fresh, knowing your butcher or knowing your farmer meat. It's really neat seeing that lettuce kind of having that same effect and just fresh veggies and all that all together.
Well, my goal is whenever I make a salad, and as you can imagine, anytime we attend a potluck dinner at somebody's house, I always get assigned the salad.
Sure.
So that makes sense. But my goal is to never have any residual dressing in the bottom of the bowl. I want it to be all incorporated in the lettuce. And you would be amazed at you can do a salad for 10 people and use a half a cup of dressing at the most. And if you toss it right, it just coats, lightly coats the lettuce, and then there's no, it's not swimming in dressing, and you're eating less oil, and it's just and you enjoy the taste of the lettuce. We've been used to eating iceberg lettuce when we were kids, as just pile on the cheese and the ranch dressing.
I always think about the Mazzio's salad bar.
Yeah.
Like the one that always comes to mind. I mean, I will give Mazzio's this. They make their own ranch.
Well, and there's something to be said for some good homemade ranch.
What's your go-to salad dressing?
I'm more of a oil and vinegary type person, but I do like a kind of a sweeter one. Like I'm really into like the fruit and nuts in a salad. I love like dried cranberries or cherries and walnuts or pecans, and some dry, like a good hard cheese like feta or.
As I'm getting older, my taste buds are leading me those same directions without exactly knowing what it is I want. It's like I'm craving something that feels fresher, fruitier, sweeter when it comes to my salads and stuff. And like the feta cheese is something 10 years ago, I would have thrown it back at you if you put feta cheese on anything of mine.
So good.
And now I'm like, what have I been missing out? I'll go to Cerami's every now and then, and they have feta cheese on the salad bar. And it's like, okay, that's kind of good. Or maybe it's blue cheese they have. Either way, it's good. And it's I would have never wanted that 10 years ago.
Well, it's, those flavors of some of those cheeses, they're so flavorful that a little goes a long way, and it holds up in a salad. I'm nothing against a cheddar cheese grated on a salad. I mean, it's delicious too. But I think you can just get a lot of punch out of some of those blue cheese or goat cheese or feta. And then we love like an apple cider vinaigrette or something that has a little tang, a little sweet, and just really amps it up.
Have you been out to J. Olive?
I have. It's a fabulous little store.
I go, Core Therapy is one of my sponsors, and it's one of the places that I just enjoy going. They're right next door to there, and every day I keep saying I'm going to walk in and grab some olive oils and stuff and really try to step my olive oil game up and my dressing game up. And I keep forgetting to, so that's why it was off the top of my mind. I was going to ask you if you've been there, and the fact that you have tells me all I need to know.
You would love that. It's the flavors of, and they'll let you taste everything. So go in there and just have a tasting of all the different oils. And usually I would generally do like a non-flavored oil with a flavored vinegar, or vice versa. If you get a flavored oil, get just a balsamic.
Don't do like two flavors.
I mean, you could, and it's nothing, no right or wrong answer about that. It's whatever you like. But the flavors of those things, you talk about using less dressing. You can take a drizzle of that oil and a drizzle of that balsamic, and you've got flavor. It's great.
Quick question before we go to break here. Barbershop Bob, watching on YouTube, says, do you grow romaine lettuce?
We do grow romaine. We have to do that seasonally in the greenhouse that we are currently using because it does not like heat. So we are not doing romaine right at this moment. As you can imagine, it's very hot. It'll be coming back this fall, and then our new facility is going to be, we hope, controllable enough to do romaine year-round.
Oh, good. And 2 comments here, and we got to go to break. Deborah Stamp says, this is the best lettuce you will eat. And Gatorman23 says, good morning, Lee. Wonderful lady, salt of the earth.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
All right, let's take a break real quick. Lisa Nolan asked, what's the name of that olive oil store? It's called J Olive. It's in the township in Ridgeland. Yes. J. Olive, not the word J, the letter J. Olive in the township. Maybe they should sponsor the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Outlaw Entrepreneur Show. Breaking rules, not breaking rules when necessary, that's my catchphrase, heavy hitters. And our guest here is Miss Lee Bailey with Salad Days. As we wrap up, we got about a minute left. Lee, again, thank you so much for coming on today. And I've learned so much about salads and produce and just the way you do things. And how many people do you employ?
We currently have about, I'm going to say 8 or 9, only 5 or so are full-time. Our new facility, though, we are estimating 15 to 20 employees that would all be full-time. So
that's awesome.
We're going to really up the game here on the hiring.
Love it. Look, support small businesses because they support you in one form, fashion, or another. That's 15 to 20 people that are going to be living, working, eating, playing in and around Madison County, Central Mississippi, spending the money that they earn there here locally in one form, fashion, or another. That's what supporting small business does. It keeps money in the community. You can see it stay in the community. And supporting somewhere like Salad Days, go to saladdaysproduce.com and you can find the vendors there where it's available. And we'll be keeping in touch with Miss Lee, as I am now a Salad Days fan, and I'm turning all my sponsors on to it. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.